Yes, it did.
Good evening. The Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, August 7th, 2019 is called to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, will you please note the roll?
Commissioner Ellison is here. Commissioner Kish is here. Commissioner Maloney is here. Commissioner Steiner is here. Commissioner Clymer is here. Vice Chairman Barnes is here. Chairman Bray is present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. At this time, we'll move into agenda item number 1. Item 1 is to the approval of draft minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held on June 26, 2019. Those are online, and I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move. Seconded.
I believe that was Commissioner Clymer moved to approve, and Commissioner Kish was seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. At this time, it's public comment, so now is the time for citizens who would like to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any non-agenda items. Is there anyone that would like to address the commission at this time? Any speaker cards? Thank you. Disclosure of ex parte communication. This is the opportunity for commission members to disclose any ex parte communication they may have had prior to the meeting on any item scheduled on discussion for this agenda. Is there anybody that would like to disclose at this point in time? All right. There is no old business, and so we'll move into agenda item number 2. This is the Vida at El Cedro Ranch PAD, and I will open the public hearing. Alex is going to present.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the Commission. Welcome back. Tonight, my first item before you is called Vida at El Cedro Ranch. The property is about 27 acres located at the northeast corner of Elwood Street and Cotton Lane. Do I have a mouse here? Oops, hidden. So to the east is County Island. The south is the Goodyear Crossing Industrial Park. The property is currently part of the El Cedro Planned Area Development. So to the north is El Cedro zoning, which is designated for single-family residential. And to the west is commercial zoning, and then the future 303 build-out. And then to the west of that is current El Cedro homes under development. So the property, parcel 5 on the El Cedro map, is designated for single-family residential, also known as LDR4, within the PAD. So the request is to remove the subject property from the El Cedro PAD and create a new PAD called the Vida at El Cedro Ranch PAD, which essentially applies all of the city's MF18 district standards to the property with some deviations, which we'll see in the next slide. The request is similar to a lot of the requests we've been seeing with the single-story detached multifamily products like the Christopher Todd's, the Avillas, the Hillstone rezoning that was before you before the end of summer. So these are the differences. You can see they're pretty similar. We did cap the density at 12 dwelling units per acre, which is what we've seen with the others. However, I believe their site plan currently anticipates about 9 dwelling units per acre, so they are going under their maximum. Most of the setbacks look the same. The 20% lot depth is, I believe, I did some quick math before I came, would set it at 160 feet, so they're doing 100, which is actually more than what we've seen with the others. They're usually going down to about 20, 30, just like the other side setbacks. And then they are increasing the total landscape area and the private open space to add those backyards like we've seen with the others. This is the conceptual site plan that is included in the PAD book. There is a stipulation that does, or there's a standard in the PAD that does require general conformance with this development plan to kind of keep the open space central And there's that. These are some of the elevations that they've provided, which are also included in the PAD book. They do have a more modern elevation, and then some of the craftsman elements as well. We did hold a neighborhood meeting on May 16th. The applicant and myself were in attendance, but no residents came, and I have not received any opposition towards the application so far. The application was reviewed for compliance with the zoning ordinance and the city's engineering standards, and was found to be in compliance. Therefore, staff does recommend approval. The applicant is available for a presentation and any questions if you have any. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. Is there any questions for staff at this time?
Nope.
And you said the applicant is here. Does the applicant wish to address the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Benjamin Tate with Withy Morris, 2525 East Arizona Biltmore Circle. On behalf of the applicant, it's been about a year since I've been in front of you, and for some reason I seem to bring strange weather with me. I seem to remember a very large storm on my way out here last time, so hopefully we keep bringing this weather because it's been kind of a late monsoon. I have a full presentation that I'd be happy to give at this time. I guess I'll leave it to the discretion of the commission. I can just answer any questions if you have them, or go through the full presentation. I guess I'll leave it to your preference.
The agenda is quite lengthy. Is there anybody who wants to see the full presentation?
Not the full presentation, but I do want to take a look at the pictures of what the elevations will
Sure.
look like.
And I have all those at the end, so I can just fast forward just so you can see all of them. So the unit mix is, and I guess I can go back to the site plan. Oh, there's a site plan at the end, actually. Just go to that one. So it's a mix of studio and one-bedroom duplexes and then detached two-bedroom units. The detached two-bedroom units are about 50%, 51% of the overall site plan, and then the one-bedroom and studio duplexes being the other half. So these being the cottage duplexes, craftsman duplexes, modern elevation duplexes, and then that's just a floor plan of those. So those were the one-bedroom duplexes. These are the cottage, two-bedroom, standalone, detached units. Same with the craftsman, modern elevation, and then these are the floor plans for the two bedrooms. And then these are the studio duplexes.
Are they all going to be white, like kind of concrete looking, or is that just kind of a...
As far as the materials and paint palette goes, is that what
Yeah.
you're asking?
I'm just looking at the white palettes and thinking of how many units are there going to be?
228.
228 little white buildings. I'm just trying to visualize that.
So, and it might just be a function of the contrast of this projector. There's going to be a variety of sort of neutral tones for the palette. And again, these are still conceptual at this point, and we are being stipulated to general conformance to these elevations, but there will be some flexibility as we get into development review for materials and paint. and things
Okay.
like that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No, I just saw that you have large areas of landscape and so on and forth, which is kind of refreshing. Some of the ones you've seen are teeny tiny with just a stick here and a stick there, but this looks quite nice.
I appreciate you noticed that, and as you'll see from the modified development standards that we have in that PAD book, we are actually doing more open space than MF 18 requires.
Thank you. Appreciate you
Thank you.
coming out and bringing the weather.
We needed it.
At this point in time, is there any comments from the public, any speakers cards on this particular item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Is there any discussion on this item from the commission? With that, I will take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve item 192000007.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Barnes, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve the Vida El Cedro Ranch PAD. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 3. This is Pebble Creek Marketplace PAD Comprehensive Sign Package. John is going to present. I don't know if I've had the pleasure of meeting you, John, but welcome.
Thank you. I'm new. Thank you.
Good, I'm glad
Chairman, if
haven't
I
missed
may.
anybody.
John Froke is a contract planner with the Planning and Zoning Division, so he will be with us on a temporary basis. But we are very lucky to have him. He has a wealth of experience and knowledge. He was with the city of Glendale for how long? 20 plus years? 27 years as the director.
Who's counting?
Glendale looks pretty good. I mean, they got a stadium and
Yes.
everything, so.
So you will be seeing him possibly over the next couple months, as I said, as a contract planner on temporary basis. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, welcome, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate your services, and hopefully it all works out well. And with that, I will open the public hearing.
Great. Katie, thank you for that introduction. Chair, Planning Commission. Not to belabor the city, this is a great organization and a great city, so it's been great for me. I'll stop saying great in a minute, to be able to work here for the last couple of months and learn from a lot of people. We have a really talented workforce in Goodyear. It's a very well-planned city and very well designed and very well constructed. So there's a lot I live up in Glendale, but it's been great to be out here. I'll, again, stop using that word. And just to learn more and learn what's happening out in Goodyear. It's pretty amazing. So with that, we'll go ahead and move forward. There are two separate applications tonight. There's a PAD amendment, which is focused on the comprehensive sign plan. I've got some exhibits that'll show you in a minute. The second application tonight is for a use permit for a pylon sign on Interstate 10. That'll require separate action and separate vote.
And will you just cover both of them?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Pebble Creek Marketplace is currently under construction. It's a 25-acre site at the immediate northwest corner of Interstate 10 and Pebble Creek Parkway. There's some tenants that have been lined up. There's a Circle K that, I'm not sure if I know how to use the, right on the corner of McDowell and Pebble Creek Parkway, there's a Circle K that's under construction. There's other site work underway with utilities, underground utilities, and additional vertical construction will occur later this year. The pylon sign itself is proposed on I-10, similar to other pylon signs in Goodyear. There is a series of multi-tenant signs on one on McDowell Road and two on Pebble Creek Parkway. These are all proposed at the main driveways, which is typically what we do in Goodyear, is to try to focus motorists' attention and others that might be wanting to enter the site to know where they should be going. This is a elevation of the pylon sign. It's about 58 feet tall. It'll be located north of the I-10 right-of-way and out of the ADOT right-of-way. These are the three multi-tenant signs that I mentioned, two elevation faces, and then you can see the side elevation. So these will be at the three primary driveways to the shopping center. That's it on the presentation with respect to the comprehensive sign plan and the PAD amendment. The second application tonight, again, very similar, is for the use permit. Again, 25 acres under development. We did property posting on site and notification postcards went out to adjacent property owners. I did not receive any kind of feedback similar to Alex, no emails or telephone calls from anybody in the vicinity. We did reach out to the notification into the residential neighborhood north of McDowell Road and did not have any input from anybody. Both requests meet all of our codes and ordinances. Again, no objections. The Planning and Zoning Division would recommend approval of the PAD comprehensive sign plan as well as the use permit and separate actions. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Is there any questions for John at this time?
Of course, you made your drawings with Winco up on the top. Doesn't really indicate that Winco was coming, but it's a place for Winco, and that's just
Correct.
designates that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Does the applicant wish to address the commission?
Commissioner. My name is Andy Gibson with Boots and Duke Sign Company, 2831 West Weldon, Phoenix, Arizona. I am representing WM Grace, developing this property and pushing this comprehensive sign plan and pylon sign forward. As I mentioned, it's a 25-acre property right there off of I-10 and Pebble Creek on the northwest corner. We're proposing 3 16-foot tall ground signs, all to code, along with a couple fuel center price identification signs, as well as the 58-foot tall freeway pylon sign. This sign package is very comparable to other shopping centers of the same size in Goodyear. The signs were designed to match the buildings with materials, colors, textures. I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding the signs. Also, the actual applicant is here too to answer any questions about the property you would have.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
With that, is there any comments, speakers card from the public on this particular item? Perfect. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any discussion from the commission? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 19-630-00002.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve the Pebble Creek Market PAD comprehensive sign package. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item 4, we've already heard about this, but this is the actual use permit for the signage. And so I guess I'm sure to make this all legal, I'll open up a public hearing. We've heard about it. Any discussion? Any comments from the public? Speakers cards? None? Okay, perfect. I'll take a motion on agenda item number 4. Oh, close the public hearing, and I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item number 19-300-00005.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Ellison to approve the special use permit for Pebble Creek Marketplace PAD. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 5, this is rezoning from a PAD to a PFD for the Goodyear Recreation Campus. Steve is going to present, and I'll open the public hearing.
Chairman, Commission members, good evening. This is a rezoning for the project known as the Goodyear Recreation Campus. And this is the property here. It's about 86 acres, Estrella Parkway, Goodyear Boulevard, Sherman, Desert Edge High School and Basis. We have wildflower wrapping around the development here, future Hudson Commons residential development, and then you have existing residential and commercial development in Centerra across the street. What we have today, the property is about 86 acres minus the area that was basis and some right-of-way. So you have about 86 acres left of what was a 100-acre PAD back in 2009. That PAD was called University Park. And what that envisioned was here on the west end, about a 30-acre community park, along with 2 universities, one here on the north half and one on the south half. That plan did not come to fruition, but again, you did have Basis Charter School coming in at about 11 acres right here north of Desert Edge High School. So the new plan, new vision for the area, the city would like to develop the remainder of the property as a recreation campus. In discussions, the appropriate zoning for that facility is PFD, Public Facilities District. And that zoning allows public uses such as rec facilities, parks, and playgrounds. And the PFD is also, per our general plans, consistent with the neighborhood and business and commerce land uses that are on the property. And another good thing is the PFD, most of the uses are compatible with the surrounding area, except for a couple that we'll talk about a little later. And this is the Recreation Campus Master Plan. I won't go into too much detail on this one as the next presentation will go much better into the details than I will. Public participation, extensive outreach with the development of the plan. Our Parks Department reached out to all the surrounding neighborhoods, stakeholders, uses in the area. So we had extensive public outreach with adoption of that master plan that you just saw. For the rezoning, we had our citizen review meeting on July 24th. 2 residents attended. We had 1 email in response. All were positive regarding the project. Required notice because it is a public hearing. Mailers, notice of the property, the legal ad. There was no additional inquiries to date as a result of that notice. Findings, we find that the rezoning to PFD is consistent with the general plan with the land uses on the property. We find that the PFD is compatible with the surrounding area. We are recommending approval subject to the 3 stipulations you saw in the draft ordinance attached to the staff report. And again, those 2 uses in the PFD that we thought would be somewhat incompatible were wastewater treatment plants and water reclamation facilities. We'll prohibit those via stipulation, but the rest of the use is compatible with the surrounding area. And again, we are recommending approval of the rezoning. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions. Also, the Parks team has a presentation that they'd like to provide to the commission.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Any questions for Steve at this time?
Mr. Chairman, can I add one thing for clarity?
You can.
So I know that the, excuse me, and thank you very much for that. I know that the Parks Department, their facilities up on Litchfield Road, has some digital signage out in front. And just for clarity, this project does not include, nor does this zoning contemplate any digital signage. So should Parks want that in the future, or the city want that in the future, that would have to come back through. Or there would have to be a subsequent sign ordinance amendment in order to allow that. So I just wanted to be clear on that.
And their office is Litchfield and just south of Thomas?
Yeah, I
North of
think so.
Thomas?
Yeah, up that way, yes.
Okay. Parks Department. They're anxiously awaiting back there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Nathan Torres. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Goodyear. I'm very excited to present the Recreation Campus project to you this evening for consideration. This project has been ongoing for a few years now. It started with an extensive master planning process where we actually touched approximately 1,100 different community members in the process. So pretty proud of that effort. As Steve indicated, the full campus is 86 acres. However, we're looking to develop initially the western 40 acres. That will consist of a 48,000 recreation center that will have a multi-purpose gymnasium, various activity rooms. It will have an indoor walking track. And then connected to that is an aquatic center, play pool, family play pool, competition lap pool, and water slides, lazy river. That's in this section right here. And then various amenities throughout the remaining 40 acres. So I've got a short video I'd like to tee up and kind of walk you through those amenities. And this will show some of the development of how we got to where we are today. And if I can have the last slide of the presentation, please. The uncomfortable pause there. Okay, actually. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. You can see the rec center orientation along with the aquatic center, multi-purpose fields here. This is an art plaza and event space here, multi-purpose ball fields. We've got a multi-level playground. We have a group ramada area, pickleball courts, sand volleyball courts, basketball courts. What's interesting, we really tried to, there's a high demand for the area for walking paths and trails. And so you notice we strategically place parking along the perimeter of the site so that once you arrive to the park, you don't have to cross-connect with any vehicular traffic. So families can feel safe walking around. What that also did was it allowed us to create a exterior walking path that basically travels all along the perimeter. If you go around it one time, that's a mile. So pretty excited about that and excited about this opportunity. This would be coming in spring, summer of 21. Looking to start turning dirt here in October. And with that, that concludes my presentation.
What's the cost of the project?
We're approximately $65 million. That does include improvements to Harrison as well as Estrella. We're also having to relocate the RID canal that runs through the middle of the property right now.
And ongoing maintenance?
Ongoing maintenance, I think we're, for the park, I don't want to give you any wrong information, but it's probably around $3 million all in.
Any questions?
Yeah. Nathan, I remember when we were going through the whole process of laying it out and you were talking about, well, what do you think of the pool? What do you think of this? And what do you think? And I remember that a lot of people wondered why we were doing the pool in yards as opposed to meters if it's going to be a competitive swimming pool. And the second thing would be, why is it only 25 instead of the 50?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Steiner, that's a great question. The 25 yards is the basic level for high school competition level. That's where we see our niche. The YMCA has an Olympic-sized pool. We are partners with them, and we help subsidize that operation. And so therefore, we don't want to compete. We want to see them be very successful hosting those larger, more competitive Olympic-sized pool events.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? I guess the same thing with the recreation center, I guess. I'm not sure what's all going to be under roof, but does the city feel comfortable that there's not competition within the city for that particular building?
Yeah, that's a great, Mr. Chair, that's a great question. We were very careful that this is not going to compete with our local businesses that focus on fitness. This is a very modest approach to some selectorized circuit training that is going to be minimal in nature. It's not going to be free weights and not going to get into the heavy machine type focus that you would get at the other markets within our city. So,
very good. Thank you. Commissioner Steiner?
Nathan, is there going to be somewhere within the park that people can get refreshment?
So right now we are, there is no concession stand built in. When there are Little League games, they will set up a snack stand or something more temporary in nature. And for events, we will bring in, food trucks and have service provided that way, but not on a daily basis.
So there's nothing inside the recreation
in the recreation building, it will have some vending machines for, some ice cream snacks or treats and some drinks as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there any comments from the public? Any speakers cards on this agenda item? Perfect. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and I will take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 19-200-00005.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Steiner, seconded by Commissioner Maloney to approve the rezoning from a PAD to a PFD on the Public Facilities District for the Goodyear Recreation Campus. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 6 is the amendment to the PV 303 planned area development for the Camelback Center. Steve will be presenting, and I will open the public hearing.
Chairman, Commission members, we are looking at a PAD amendment for property. This is Camelback Road here, Pebble Creek Parkway, Charles Boulevard, Palm Valley Phase 5 right here. So this property here, just north of Palm Valley Phase 5. And what we've got surrounding, basically we got UPS, the other large distribution buildings coming in here along the 303. We have county properties to the north, Arizona Motorsports, the golf course, and eventually north of that, Luke Air Force Base. And current condition, we have the Palm Valley 303, PAD adopted in 2005, 2007. 6 phases over 1,800 acres, so it's a large PAD. Main uses are industrial and commercial, and we'll see that's because of Luke Air Force Base, predominantly. And this is the overall PV 303 PAD. It stretches from basically Citrus to a little bit east of Falcon, from Camelback down to Thomas. This line right here, that's the 65 LDN line for Luke Air Force Base. No residential. Everything north of that line has to be some kind of non-residential, commercial, industrial type development. That's why you see predominantly this is non-residential use. Another line I wanted to point out, just so it'll come up later, this line is about 300, this measures 300 feet north, this line right here, of Charles Boulevard. So when PV 303 was adopted, it knew that residential development was coming here in Palm Valley Phase 5. So within this area, 300 feet north of Charles, it limited building heights to a maximum of 40 feet. It also limited the uses. What we have here is office and professional schools. You won't have those large industrial users within 300 feet of Charles. And again, that was for protection of the neighborhoods and increased compatibility. But this is the area we're talking about tonight, this area Phase East 3. It's about 284 acres. Developer's intent is to develop the portion outside of that 300 feet with industrial distribution and warehousing. And what they would like to do would be to orient those larger buildings in an east-west configuration, so you have the dock doors facing north-south, and then you avoid the western exposure, the sun exposure there. But to do that, they have to place the dock doors against facing Camelback Road. So first buildings will be right here. You would have those dock doors facing Camelback Road. Right now, the PAD has a design guideline that you cannot do that. So what the applicant is requesting is an amendment to the PAD to allow them amend the design guideline, update the design guideline so they can have dock doors facing Camelback Road. That ability to do that would require them to do some screening measures, including a double row of 24-inch box trees, walls and berming. We had a citizen review meeting July 30th. We had about 8 residents in attendance at the meeting. They did have some concerns generally with the overall industrial development itself. However, they understood that the PAD did allow for that type of use. And again, with Luke Air Force Base being right there to the north, that's the uses that had to be on that property. They also wanted to ensure that there were no changes proposed to that 300-foot buffer along Charles. And again, we confirmed for them that there were no changes to that buffer as a result of this action. We did provide notice because of a public hearing, again, the legal ad, the posting of the property, and a mailing to the residents. To date, I haven't received any citizen inquiries as a result of that notice. We do find that this amendment to the PAD to allow the dock doors to face Camelback, we do find it consistent with the general plan. We do find it's compatible with the surrounding area. We are recommending approval subject to the 17 stipulations you see in the draft ordinance. And just wanted to note stipulation number 17 was just to clarify that there would be no buildings within 300 feet of Charles Boulevard with dock doors facing Charles Boulevard. Again, promote that compatibility between industrial and existing residential uses. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation. Available for questions. The applicant's also here and available for questions.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions for Steve at this time?
I had a question regarding the area just north of the property. Is that going to be industrial as well because of the Luke Air Force routes? So Allsap, Cerebral, that right there. Does that register like residential or industrial? What is that going to be?
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, I would assume it was a mix of county zonings, ag and RU 43 and such, but I would assume that it would develop with non-residential uses because of the statutes regarding Luke Air Force Base.
That's what I just was concerned because with these type of things, are we expecting more truck traffic on Camelback coming onto Camelback than towards the 303 so will Camelback be enhanced in any way to accommodate that, or?
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, yes, as the developer has site plans come in, they will be required to their street frontage improvements as standard city requirements. So they will be improving Camelback Road. Most of their access will occur off of Camelback and Pebble Creek. There is, I think, a few driveways off of Charles, but again, the uses are limited along Charles to basically the office and professional type schools and such like that.
Thank you.
So the semis won't be utilizing Charles then to come south out of those distribution centers or whatever's going to be built there, hypothetically, obviously.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, those uses will be up in this area here along Camelback. Direct route will be right up to Camelback or a driveway or two off of Pebble Creek.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Steve? You said the applicant is here?
Yes, sir.
Does the applicant wish to address the commission?
Jeff Bliley, 701 North 44th Street. I just want to point out that what we're asking for tonight is really something that the commission probably thought they approved back in 17 and 18. We're just adopting the same development standards that were applied back with some old ordinances. It turned out that when those were adopted at the time, the entire legal description wasn't included, so we've had to go back now and kind of go back and add this to the other property. So that's kind of why we're here tonight. We're not really asking for anything new, just the existing development standards that everybody thought already applied to this property. Thanks.
Sounds good. Any questions for the applicant? No. Perfect. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address the commission on this issue? Any speakers cards?
Mr. Chairman, can I add a little bit of additional information for you?
Yes, you can.
In response to Mr. Kish's question. So there's APZ 1, which is accident potential zone from Luke Air Force Base to the north of Camelback, which actually precludes any any sort of building there as well. So on the north side of Camelback, there's a relatively large swath of property that actually won't be built on. That Katie has the map that can show you. And while she's showing you that, the city does have truck route guidance and requirements, and they're essentially required to take the most direct path to 303 or I-10. So from that perspective, we should not
Can I
have
use
traffic
Elmo?
going south. So it would go north to Camelback and then west to 303. Now, obviously, I know that could be maybe an enforcement issue in the future, but the city has already contemplated getting our collective arms around that issue.
Thank you.
And so Katie has the map for you.
Okay. It's also on if you have the gray and red map, it outlines the APZ, but it jogs like this. And there are no structures permitted to be built in the APZ 1. So from about here over, when it's north of Camelback, they can't build structures, at least occupiable structures.
Thank you for that.
Appreciate that. Any other comments, questions before closing public hearing? All right. Closing the hearing, and with that, I will take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item number 19-210-00005.
I second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Maloney to approve the amendment to the PB 303 planned area development for Camelback Center. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 7 is a preliminary plat for Padera Phase 2B and 3, and Steve will present on that one as well.
Chairman, Commission members, we have a preliminary plat tonight. This is the Pradera development. We have Citrus Road, Lower Buckeye, 183rd, and Durango, about 160 acres. Pretty much surrounding the Pradera development, we have a future residential development. Some of these you've seen before, La Jolla Vista, Levinson, Las Brisas. We have county property here and here to the north, and we have Paseo Place right here. Background, 2006 was when Pradera was initially approved, PAD for about 160 acres, residential use. In May 2018, the developer decided they wanted to modify the lot widths, lot setbacks, so they came back in and rezoned the property. And they rezoned it from PAD to the city's R16 and R14 zoning districts. And they are platting in conformance with those zoning districts. We have Phase 2B and 3 tonight. 2B, oops. 2B is right here, right at the corner, Citrus, Lower Buckeye. Phase 3 is kind of the western half of the development. All single-family lots. We've got 50 by 115s. Then we go up to 55 wide and 65 wide. Just within Phase 2B and 3, we have about 23 acres of open space. And this is a larger view, Phase 2B and 3. Phase 1, right here. Phase 1 will have the access points to the arterials and the collectors. It'll also have the main park, the main central park area for Pradera. So once Phase 1 comes in, they'll move forward with the later phases. Access points will be provided along with the large park here. We have reviewed this preliminary plat. We do find it consistent with the property zoning, with our subdivision regulations, and it provides for early development of the area. As such, we are recommending approval subject to the 15 stipulations in the staff report. That's, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my presentation. Available for questions. The applicant's rep is also here for any questions.
Thank you, Steve. Is there any questions for staff? No. Does the applicant wish to address the commission? Any questions for the applicant?
Nope.
Any comments?
No.
Any cards? Perfect. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve number 18-500-00008 with the plat in Padera Phase 2B and 3.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Maloney, seconded by Commissioner Barnes to approve the preliminary plat for Padera Phase 2B and 3. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 6 is amendment to the PV 303 planned area development for the, oh wait, excuse me, I already did that one. Gotta turn the page. Agenda item 8, preliminary plat approval for Bennett Meadows, and Karen is going to present on this one. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. This is the Bennett Meadows property, and it's probably familiar to some of you. It's on the west side of Saraville Avenue. The southern portion of the property will be the entrance into the project, which will align with Harrison Avenue. And in terms of larger roads, Van Buren is to the north and Yuma is to the south. When I say it's probably... Okay, there we are. When I say it's probably familiar to you, it's because in January of 2018, this commission recommended approval of this preliminary plat for Bennett Meadows. It had 90 single-family lots on 28 acres, 70-foot wide lots along the north and south property lines, and the interior lots were 60 feet. Council also approved that preliminary plat in 2018, but unfortunately, the approval expired in January of this year when a final plat was not submitted and an extension was not requested. After working, and this is why those two things didn't happen, the Bennett Meadows folks were working with the Curtis Commons neighborhood to the south about some drainage issues and utility issues, and that took some time to get that all resolved. So Bennett Meadows has resubmitted that original plat, still the 90 lots on the 28 acres, the 70-foot wides and the 60-foot wide lots. And this, you will remember this plat, it remains the same. The entrance to the south side off of Harrison, there will be an emergency access onto and from Saraville Avenue should emergency vehicles need to enter the property at that site. There will be road improvements made to both Saraville Avenue and Harrison, and there will be an in lieu contribution to a signal at Harrison and Saraville. This shows you a significant amount of open space in the preliminary plat. Approximately 20% of the site is in open space. And this graphic shows you the 70-foot wide lots on the north and the south in the orangish color, and then the yellow color is the 60s. Again, this is all what had been approved before, and it's still compatible with the surrounding area, and it's still consistent with the general plan, the zoning ordinance, and the subdivision regs. So we are asking you that you recommend approval once again, please, subject to the stipulations in your staff report.
Just so I understand, Karen, so the time clock ran out, and so now we're back.
Once you get preliminary plat approval, you have a year to either file your final plat or to request an extension of that preliminary plat approval. So that year ran out while they were working out with issues with Curtis Commons, so now they're back with the same preliminary plat.
And an extension is it can be done administratively. An extension doesn't have to come through us, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Just checking. Is any questions for Karen? None? You said the applicant is here?
Yes.
Does the applicant wish to address the commission? Questions for the applicant?
Nope.
Perfect. All right. With that, is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment? Any speakers cards? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion on the preliminary plat.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Item 19-500-00008.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Barnes. Was that Kish? And seconded by Commissioner Kish. To approve the preliminary plat for Bennett Meadows. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Agenda item number 9 is a preliminary plat for Estrella parcel 9.43, and Alex will be presenting on this one.
Thank you. Got the last three, so let's do this. So the first one is the Estrella parcel 9.43. This is part of the Montecito community that was rezoned in early 2018. It's this parcel with a red line around it. It's designated as single-family detached 60, or the SFD 60, within the Montecito PAD. It is adjacent to some parcels that are under development or fully developed, I believe. I think our map's a little outdated. The parcel does consist of 73 lots, 11 open space tracts. You can see 2 entry points off of Calistoga Drive, and then kind of a loop road around here to connect the community. You have the main open space feature at both entries, so you're not driving into any houses at the main entry points. The preliminary plat does meet the city's requirements and the standards set by the Montecito PAD. Staff does recommend approval subject to the stipulations in the staff report. Mr. Tyke is here, available for any questions if you have them. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions for Alex?
Is that going to remain the 60 designation or going to go to 50?
It's going to remain the 60.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Mr. Tyke? Any questions? No. Perfect. All right. Any comments from the public? No, seeing none. I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 19-500-00005.
A second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Steiner, seconded by Commissioner Maloney to approve the preliminary plat for Estrella parcel 9.43. Is there a discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 10, Alex is back with a preliminary plat for Estrella parcel 12.23.
Thank you. So moving a little northeast of this last parcel. Oops, now I'm doing it. Okay. So along Estrella Parkway, this is part of Estrella Phase 1 PAD, which was approved in June of 1987. It was designated patio home, so it's this area in red right here, 12.23. To the west is Golf Village, so a separate PAD. This parcel does include approximately 25 acres. It consists of 98 lots and 14 tracts. So one thing significant about this parcel is, if you'll notice in the stipulations, there is a phasing plan that's included on the preliminary plat. So I've outlined this phasing line in red. Reason being, there's a portion of the property that's in the floodplain and being worked on with FEMA to get it's a little sliver, I believe, out of the floodplain. There's also some phasing that has to do with access. The city's fire code requires 2 points of entry to a subdivision with 30 lots, or with more than 30 lots. So we have 29 lots within Phase 1 that will be accessed by this Rock Run Drive. When they begin developing Phase 2, emergency access will be provided from this road to the north. The parcel to the north is in review for the city, or is in review by the city. So it will ultimately provide 2 additional entry points into this community. So I believe it's Newland's intention to get these up and running at the same time, but to get lots moving, they wanted to phase it out. So they were meeting the city's requirements, and working with the engineering department and staff, we have come to an agreement about the phasing. So, oops, wrong arrow. Just like the other, with the stipulations and the phasing plans, it does meet the requirements of the Estrella Phase 1 PAD, the city's engineering and design standards, and the city zoning ordinance. With that, we recommend approval. Once again, he's still here, I hope. Mr. Tyke is available for questions, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions for Alex? Any questions for Mr. Tyke? Any comments from you, Mr. Tyke? Perfect. With that, there is nobody from the public that wishes to address us. No speakers cards. I will take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve 18-500-00016.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve the preliminary plat for Estrella Parcel 12.23. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 11 is the preliminary plat for Pebble Creek Phase 2, Units 45, 46, 47A, and 47B. Alex.
Home stretch. So, this preliminary plat does include 122 acres in the Pebble Creek community. I believe, and Jeff can possibly confirm this for me, it is the second to last preliminary plat that we'll have in the Pebble Creek community before wrapping it up. It is located at not the northern edge, but the northwest edge of the Pebble Creek community. So just down here, you can see the Tuscany Falls Clubhouse. It is designated for residential within the Pebble Creek PAD. Jeff did make me aware that this map is out of date. So there are some of the golf courses that have been turfed out there. I don't think it's in operation, but it is. Oh, great. But so it is open. The houses will, let's go to the next slide. The houses will surround it like the rest of the community. There's 272 lots within this preliminary plat, 19 tracks. And like I said, does include that golf course extension. It does meet the requirements of the Pebble Creek PAD, the city's requirements, and staff does recommend approval subject to the stipulations included in your reports. Jeff Urick is here from Robeson, or on behalf of Robeson, and can answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions for Alex? The applicant's here. Do you wish to address the commission? Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. With that, anybody from the public?
Anybody?
Nope, nobody? Awesome. With that, I will take a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I vote that we approve number 18-500-00021, Pebble Creek Phase 2, Units 45, 46, 47A, and 47B.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Maloney, seconded by Commissioner Kish to approve the preliminary plat Pebble Creek Phase Unit 2, 45, 46, 47A, and 47B. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. With that, on to staff communications.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commission, we have several things to update you on that I hope you find will be interesting and beneficial for you. One of the first items I'd like to mention is, if you recall, prior to going on break, we conducted this special work session and then also the special planning commission meeting to consider Civic Square PAD that included a mix of different uses: single family, office, retail, entertainment, and also the future city hall facility, along with the 2-acre square in the middle. You all recommended approval. That went to council on July 8th before council took their break, and it was approved very enthusiastically. So thank you for your collaboration and input and attending the special meeting on the 26th. We also had a whole bevy, if you will, covey? Group of, never mind. Group, how about that? I was trying to appeal to you, Mr. Chairman. But we had a large grouping, if you will, of cases that the commission considered on June 12th. Those had rolled to the city council prior to their break on the 24th. That included the DeRozier PAD and the preliminary plat, the Sparrow rezone, which was an age-restricted multifamily project south of McDowell, the Hillstone single-family rental project that Alex alluded to earlier, rezoning for Australia 26, the Lucero PAD amendment. We had the use permit for the storage facility in the Goodyear Regional Planned Center, kind of northeast of Cal Ranch, if you will. Also, the Sonic drive-through and the use permit for Well 26, and then last but not least, the preliminary plat for Compass Data Center. So we had the large grouping of those cases that went to council. Also, those were approved by council, and as you will now see when you drive up and down Bullard, Compass Data Centers is under construction at this point in time.
Oh, quick.
Yes. So we have a lot tonight, and we're continuing to see a lot of activity. So we can continue to expect, with Katie and the team's effort, to have rather large agendas moving forward for the foreseeable future. That being said, we do have, and as Mr. Chairman and Katie and I met to talk about some planning commission training before break. You've heard us talk about that. We are targeting September 26th, I believe it is, for that to take place. That special, we'll get this to you in email and so on and so forth after it gets set. But that would be a special meeting of the Planning Commission. Now, we actually have two agenda items that night. Number one would be a general plan amendment for some land uses at where SR 30 and the 303 would connect south of MC 85. So by state law, we have to hold a public hearing off-site in an area that would be close to proximity of the area that's being considered for the change. The closest location for that to take place is going to be, we believe, more than likely Star Point up in Australia. We haven't got all of that figured out exactly yet, but that's what we're working toward, and we'll confirm all of this with you. But so that agenda on that night would have two items. One would be Planning and Zoning Commissioner training, which would exceed no more than 2 hours, and then not exceed more than 2 hours, excuse me. And then also the general plan amendment public hearing. I'll let you know that we do not really anticipate any significant public interest as a result of this general plan amendment because we've been working very collaboratively, Katie and the team has, with those particular property owners in order to facilitate this. So we do not expect that amendment process to be contentious at all, but state law does require us to hold a public hearing. So, yes, sir. You look like you have a question.
I do have a question, but go ahead.
Okay. Two other things for you real quick. Katie and the team and myself are going to be making a presentation to council at the end of August, seeking some policy direction with regard to single-family rentals and multifamily in general, but also particularly single-family rentals. And here's why. In 2015, we had approximately 125 units constructed and in the process of getting constructed and occupied. Currently, that have been approved through the site plan process, we now have close to 1,500 of those types of units. And then ones that we have actually had pre-apps on, including the site plan approval ones, now are close to 3,000 of this particular type of unit. So we, depending on the direction that council wants to go with this and provides us, we may be coming back to you with some policy or some regulatory changes. So I just wanted you to be aware of that, and we'll certainly share back with you the direction that council gave us.
Is it like a pump the brakes type of conversation, or is it like?
Well, we haven't had it yet.
Right.
It's going to be at the end of August.
Got it. Okay.
So what's the, I mean, obviously staff is going to kind of drive that a little bit, let the council make the decision. So
Right.
what's the concern from staff, or what direction are we headed?
So what we want to do is highlight the fact that our multifamily mix has changed a whole lot, and that there is a very large percentage increase of these type of units that are essentially new to the market. We don't know what they're going to be like long-term, if you will. And we just want to understand if council has any concern over these types of units. Should we, because we're continuing to get pre-apps on this market niche, if you will. We're continuing to have people interested in developing additional single-family rentals in the community. So we want to have an opportunity to have this conversation with council so we can provide appropriate direction to our customers.
Maybe a new zone?
Sir?
Are you thinking along the lines that we need a new zone?
Well, maybe. That could be a way of handling it, depending on what council wants us to do.
What is an example of these single-family rentals? Is it what's on Indian School and 155th?
Yeah, that northeast corner. The project you considered tonight, that Vita, that is one. That's
Like a Via, like a Via.
Vita, the Christopher Todds, the things of that nature. Not to point any particular builder out any of the other, but just so you have a frame of reference.
Yep.
And how many new projects have been okayed in the past 2
So
years?
with site plan approval, we currently have close to 1,500, and ones that we have talked about with people in the development process, nearly 3,000 units.
Units, right.
Not projects,
So
but units.
1,500 units have been okayed.
Correct.
And another 3,000 or 1,500 are
Another
being looked at.
1,500, right.
Considered. Wow.
Correct.
Got it.
I gotta imagine that other areas, east side, north, maybe somewhere else, are experiencing the same
Well,
issue or discussion.
so I don't want to steal any of Katie's thunder, and she can kick me under the table or jump in, but her and the team have done a lot of research and understanding what's going on with this type of product throughout the valley. And it appears, at least based on the research that we've been able to uncover so thus far, that Goodyear really has quite a lot of these, maybe more than a lot of other places. And this product is very popular, don't get me wrong, especially sort of on the outskirts of the metropolitan area, if you think about it, where land may be a little bit less expensive. And so, now let me also say all of this is that housing diversity is very, very important to the flexibility and the viability and housing choices for people in the city. And so we want to have choices. We're not trying to stop this or anything of that nature. We're just trying to have a check-in point with council to understand.
No, I think it's very prudent of the staff to recognize that and bring it forward. I mean, you look downtown right now, there's about a high-rise every block now where they're redoing it, and I wonder who's all going to live there. So I think it's very prudent and foresight on your part. So
What is the forecast of population increase for Goodyear I haven't seen a particular number out there in the internet, but is there a particular number that is being tossed around?
I don't know the exact number, but we've been adding about 4,000 residents a year, roughly.
Okay.
So I apologize. I didn't really mean to get us off on a tangent on that, but I wanted you to be aware of that pending conversation because it does impact the things that you all could be considering, or it could impact, I should say, the things that you all may be considering. So we'll have a touch base with you at the September meeting after our work session with council. Last but not least, I want to give a huge shout out to Katie and the planning team, and really for the other managers in what we call the development continuum. Katie and I got an email from the American Planning Association and asked us to write an article about efficiencies and lean implementation and development services. So that's quite an honor and recognition for what Katie and the other managers and the teams have done. And that, of course, we said absolutely, we'll do it. And so with Alyssa's help, because she's really good at writing, so we'll be writing an article for nationwide publication. That goes out to some 38 or 42,000, depending on what source you look at, people around the country. So it's quite a recognition of the efforts that Katie and the team have really put in.
Awesome.
I hope that In Focus picks that up. They should write about you guys more often.
That's right. And Katie, do you have anything to add? I covered everything. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
The question that I had is, you talked about the September meeting, and there was some discussion there, possibly starting at 5.
Yes.
So I kind of want to, however we want to do that, is that doable for everybody? Or I know you have school, so is that even possible or not?
5 o'clock's not a problem, and will it be at the Star Point?
We're working, I think that's where it's going to end up. Newland and Australia has always been very cooperative with us when we've asked to use the facility down there, so we expect that as well, but I don't think we've officially asked them yet.
Right, but I mean, it's easy, I live up there. So.
Christopher, what was the date on that?
Are you?
The 26th, but we will confirm it with you.
26 is a Thursday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we will confirm everything with you, but I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up.
And you guys are okay with 5 o'clock on that end?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll send out an agenda.
Place to eat, I'm sure.
We'll send out an agenda. Yes, so we'll send out an agenda with everything and details and so forth.
And maybe think about this, because it might add a break. If you don't think that that item's going to be controversial, maybe do 5 to 6 and start the public portion at 6 on that particular item. It'll be kind of a break, and then that way we're not trying to balance, and it gives people time to get there if the public does want to show up.
Right.
It's up to you, but it's just a thought.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any other comments? All right, the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be held September 11th, 2019 at 6 p.m. at the Goodyear Municipal Court and Council Chambers. There being no further business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned.